What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Soul Surplus Podcast. This is actually episode 1. I'm your host, Wes Pendleton. If you've been familiar with some of the podcast episodes I've been doing in the past, it was for our brand Pixels and Pads. But we wanted to create a podcast specifically for the Soul Surplus brand. And we wanted to be able to talk music, hardware, production, the whole nine, anything that goes into creating samples, creating production, the whole shebang. So to get the first episode started, we figured we keep it in-house. We just released our third loops pack, and our third guitar pack, courtesy of our first employee, our good friend, John Smythe. How you doing, John?
Chilling, man. Doing good.
Word. It's good to have you on the show. I mean, technically you'll probably be on more shows moving forward, but thanks for hopping on this first episode. So we just released the Strat Pack yesterday, consisting of 50 loops, ranging from, what were the BPMs? 60 through about 110 BPMs, I think, on that.
Just about.
Yep. And these guys were 4-bar loops and multiple key signatures, and just really crafted to be able to drag and drop right into your DAW, man. And it's been out for less than 24 hours, but the sales have been steady already. And, we're just proud to put this out, man. So just wanted to hop on this first episode to talk over, what was your mindset on this new pack, and even talk about your you being our first hire for the company, and just, start to dig into some future stuff as well, man. So just give us a quick breakdown on, your thought process on the new pack, and what you're expecting producers to be able to do with these new sounds.
Cool. Well, when I made this Strat Pack, I guess my mindset was really to create something a little more mindless and something that was easy to just put into your next production.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of chords, a lot of jazz, R&B, but then there's still some of the eerie stuff that I'm known for.
Right.
A lot of the effects and all of that. And just still a lot of soul in it. Right.
One of the conversations that you and I have constantly is I am coaching you to dial it back just a little bit with every pack, because if you guys don't know, if you picked up the Daydream Sample Pack, if you've picked up the Roadie Sample Pack, John can go in a lot on his sample packs, and he creates these compositions that are super great. And literally, I've shared this with you, I don't know how many times. I literally will just throw on the Daydream composition pack, and I'll just have it playing in the background. I'm not using it to cut samples or anything, but it's just great music. And while we stand on our brand's credence of always trying to go the extra step and producing what we consider to be some of the best content out there, unfortunately sometimes you can kind of tell that producers will hear it and it's not simple enough for them to be able to just drag into a DAW. And so I feel like sometimes it might scare them away, while they acknowledge that it's great, but I feel like sometimes it scares them away. And so with this new Strat Pack, this is probably your first pack where you dialed it all the way down. We really stripped it. We didn't throw a lot of EQ or effects on it. We kind of just left it dry. We wanted guys to just be able to just take it and drop it into there, man. And so when you're creating your composition packs, what are you referencing? And I know you talked about jazz being a particular style, but are there any cues that you tend to go to when you're creating?
It's a pretty tough question because I feel like I'm drawing from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that I'm mostly drawing from grooves.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, because everything for me starts within a groove.
Right.
So if something isn't groove based, most of the time I'm not really feeling it that much.
Right.
But when I can establish a groove, which usually I do with the bass or the guitar, then from there my brain goes to color.
Right.
And then I start to add different colors and textures. I like to use effects, guitar pedal effects, to really get those textures and to get a little crazy.
Right.
And part of color is also chord progression. And I'm not really one for conventional chord progressions, as you guys could probably tell.
Right.
And it's just something that is a part of me. But I've learned how to create chord progressions that are complex, but at the same time can be understood and can be felt.
Right.
And can be familiar to people.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like, because, you know, we're all musicians within the team. You know, we listen to your stuff, and, you know, we have this inside joke about how you and Joel are kind of having this little internal battle within the team of trying to one up each other. But it's great because I really feel like you guys continue to bring the best out of each other every time that you guys set forth to put out a sample pack. But those, you know, I think the way you responded and your answer is perfect, because when I listen to your stuff, I don't really ever feel like I can put it in one particular box. So there's times when you can go from an alternative sound right into soul and it's seamless, where everybody can't do that. And I think a lot of it comes from how you're recording some of your packs. So like the one thing that I appreciate is you're not going line in right into your interface. You know, you're actually recording straight from the amp, with a mic in front of the amp. And so anybody that's listening and they're trying to figure out, you know, how do these guys get this sound? Well, you know, the majority of any of the guitar packs that we've put out with John, those are straight from the amp. We're not adding amp plugins to that. That's naturally how it sounds. And all we were doing was just, you know, adding some EQ and, you know, widening some of the sounds just to, you know, make it ready for you guys. But yeah, your sound really isn't boxed in. And I think that's just one of the particular things that a lot of the fans and the people who have bought our packs now, our packs over the last year have really liked. And whenever we go online and we ask, like, what are you guys looking for? Usually number one and number two are guitar and piano loops every time. So I think you've left quite the impression on the fans, and definitely looking forward to, you know, what you're going to create next, man. And the thing I'm really looking forward to is now you're going to be featured on Port Rich packs as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, so we're already in the initial stages of Port Rich Volume 6, and adding Smythe into the mix is going to be quite interesting in the best way possible. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So gear used in this particular pack. So for your guitar, you're using the Fender Stratocaster.
Yeah, it's a Fender Stratocaster with a humbucker pickup in the bridge, so it's just a fatter sound,
right, than
a regular Fender Stratocaster.
Got you. And obviously you were using a Fender amp.
Yes, the Fender Hot Rod Deluxe.
Okay. And so would you say that the majority of your sound is coming from your amp, or is it coming from the combination of amp and pedals?
I would say it's more of an undertone.
Okay.
So because I'm using that Fender Hot Rod, it's a tube amp. The guitar tone is always going to be warm. It's not really going to be piercing or, you know, unpleasant to the ears.
Right.
This is a cliche, but I really feel like my tone is really all in me. It's all in my fingers and how I play.
Right.
Because there's a lot of techniques that I use on the Daydream pack and the Roadie pack on the guitar, where it's, yes, they are effects, or yes, it is amp tone, but a lot of it is decision, making the right decisions, going with my gut. That stuff is really just how it sounds, I know that's the cliche answer. Maybe I'm giving myself too much credit.
No, I mean, you are 100% telling the truth, because I've gotten to the point now when I hear you play, I know it's you, you know? So that answer is right on the money.
Now there are certain things that I do like to go to, and the Fender amp, even if I'm out at a gig, I'll ask for that in my back line, because that's just something that I really, really love, just as a good bed for my tone and for the pedals that I like to use. Right.
Now, one of the things that our listeners may not know, and this is kind of a side of you that you haven't put out there just yet, but you're also a phenomenal producer. And
thank you.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I'm looking forward to, as far as everyone else being able to hear, you know, we're creating licensed music every week, and I'm looking forward to turning you loose to do a lot more production on that side as well. So I think between you and John, Smythe and McNeil, between you two, I think that we're going to open the palette a little bit, and that alternative sound is going to come out just a little bit more than, you know, Joel and I know, like myself, I'm like right in the pocket. It's pretty much boom bap 99% of the time. Every now and again, I might dial it down and do some boom bap with R&B inflections, but and then Joel is kind of like a hybrid where, you know, his stuff kind of revolves more on the modern, you know, 808 trappy type sound mixed with soul and stuff like that.
Right.
But you and John specifically have this ear for like an alternative / rock sound that I'm definitely looking forward to hearing you guys add more to our library. Anything in the production / music landscape right now that has your ear, you know, like as far as like what you're listening to right now?
I have to think a little bit, because there's a lot of stuff that I'm listening to. A lot of it is maybe not 2018 just yet.
Okay.
But it is stuff that's come out in the past 3 or 4 years. I know recently I've been listening to Life of Pablo, which is not exactly an indie rock, you know, but the techniques that he uses in mixing his vocals and the textures that he uses, it's impossible to confine that to one genre.
Right.
Kanye is just, I've been listening to a lot of Kanye and really appreciating it. Also, I've been really digging, I think we talked about Haim.
Yeah, you and I talked about that yesterday. Yep.
The 3 women.
Right.
I think they're from LA. It's the same thing. The way they blend almost these 80s kind of syncopated vocals and harmonies.
Right.
But it's mixed with a 70s, 80s rock, you know, sort of instrumentation.
Right.
It's really cool. I mean, honestly, I could talk about bands for the next hour.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right in your wheelhouse, man. That's definitely right in your wheelhouse. So we just released the good news this week that you are actually our first full-time employee. And so up until this point, it's just been the 3 partners, myself, John, and Joel. And then we outsource to guys like yourself, Justin and Pat and Aaron. And, you know, so this week kind of marks a brand new era of the Soul Surplus brand and company. We parted ways with our vendors except for Swoop, and brought you on full time, man. And already, just in this first week, you've probably done too much. And I'm gonna have to tell you to clock out at some point, because when you bring on somebody full time, now the responsibility, like my responsibility load, just like quadrupled as soon as you sign those papers. And so I have the responsibility of making sure that our revenues are on point so that everybody could get paid. But seriously, man, we had talked to you basically in the beginning that. That was kind of our plan from the beginning when we first brought you on to do the first 2 guitar packs. It was kind of like, hey, man, come in here and do this for us. Let's work together. Let's see how things work out. And, hopefully if things continue to progress in the way that they've been progressing with, revenues going up and, being able to have, more people in our portal, then we can have that discussion about bringing you on, as a member of the team. And then just like the last 3 or 4 months, man, we just had exponential growth to the point where it was just like, you know what? I think we possibly should hire Smythe right now, just because the workload is becoming more. We have more enterprising type clients now, which is scary. We're signing partner agreements, and we're getting checks that are bigger than probably any check that any of us have ever received. And so with that comes on just like this huge amount of responsibility, and there was no other person that we wanted to bring on first. And obviously trust factor is number one. And so yeah, man, we've it's only been a week, like I said, but just you being here this week has been great. Thank you. So is there, you already know what your job is, but maybe you could just take a couple minutes to kind of share with the audience, what you're going to be doing for the company, and what people can expect in the next, maybe next to 2-3 months. Don't go too much into the other stuff. We can't talk about a lot of that stuff, but from you specifically, like what people can expect from you.
All right. Well, so I am now a sound designer for Soul Surplus, and my job is to design sound. That's it. No, I'm just playing.
That's easy. We can wrap it up, and we can close the podcast episode now. And go home.
We're done. I'm unplugging the mic now. Yeah. No, but my job is to pretty much create things with the producer in mind. The people who buy our products, and pretty much what I'll be doing is just creating, because now I have the opportunity, as you said, to work on Port Ridge Volume 6. Not even just that, but everything that the company is doing.
Yep.
And honestly, this is something that I've always wanted, because whether I was with Soul Surplus or not, I'm going to be here in my studio creating.
Exactly.
But now there's more of a purpose to it. There's more of a form to it.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys can really just expect to hear my sound infused in everything.
Right.
Along with more guitar packs. I'm doing some more synthy stuff. Hopefully some bass stuff. If John allows, John really has that covered. But
I think he'll be okay.
Okay. So some bass stuff, and in general, just working more closely with the company and helping us go higher.
Yes, indeed. One of my favorite things. So because our company is filled with musicians, everybody's work schedule is kind of in its own place. And so John and Joel specifically tend to get way more done in the afternoon and going into like the late evening and to early morning, because that's just where their brains function the best. And I'm a morning person, so like when those guys
Same
are like
here.
yeah, so when those guys are going to sleep, I'm getting up. It's like 6 o'clock. I'm already down in the kitchen drinking coffee. And so when you came on board, literally the first day, you sent me a text at like 6:30 in the morning, and I was like, yes, somebody finally on the team that's awake with me like in the morning. And so I'm looking forward to that balance of being able to have work being done in the first part of the day as well as the second part of the day. And so the amount of work that we're going to be able to do is just going to grow like crazy. Just this week, we've done probably a month's worth of content that we normally would do in like really a month and a half, we've already been able to knock that out just in the first week. And so I'm really looking forward to how this continues. Like I said, we have some partnership agreements, so you guys are going to see some of our some things that we create that actually aren't going to be in our store, but will be on other platforms, exclusive to those platforms. And so, with Smythe being on board with us, this just helps us to be able to cross that bridge just that much easier, to get stuff out to those platforms even faster, because on some of the external platforms, our sounds can be there for people that just need like a quick hit. They're not necessarily trying, if they're like, I really only need like 3 Smythe strums, but I can't get that from the Soul Surplus store, but I could definitely get that from this platform. So in probably in the next couple weeks, we'll release some news on some of the partnerships that we've been able to start over the last couple weeks. But yeah, just you being on board with the team, it's just allowing us to have that much more flexibility, and really just kind of even bringing more of a creative balance overall for us to be able to create both in the morning and create in the afternoon and create at night. And it's I truly believe that eventually we're going to even be able to bring somebody on that basically their schedule starts in the late morning. And so it'll like everything will be covered. So it's early morning, late morning, early afternoon, late evening, and well into the night. So one of the things that we're doing right now is we're actually surveying actual office spaces that double as both an office space as well as a workspace for the team. And primarily the workspace part really is kind of really going to be just your domain primarily for you to be able to work in. So we're trying to find some places that have like a couple of like B type rooms, where you can kind of just go in and work and be separated from, I'm not trying to be on emails, checking emails and on calls all day and hear you guys banging, drums and stuff like right outside of my door.
Right.
So we've already started looking into that, and that's already been like really excited, but it's also been giving me a lot of heartburn because I'm just like, okay, I got to make sure we have enough money to get all this stuff.
Well, I do have one request.
Yeah, what's that?
We definitely need to get a tape machine. If not a full tape machine, we need a cassette. One of those cassette machines.
Yes.
You look hesitant.
No. We do have a line on that. Okay. It's just right now we kind of don't need it, but when we do move into there, we will absolutely need that, and we'll definitely try to make sure we take care of you on that front.
Oh yeah.
So
get that analog sound, man. Nothing like it.
Yeah. Well, I guess that pretty much wraps up this first episode of the Soul Surplus podcast, man. John, thanks for hopping on with me. Like I said, you guys will probably hear a lot from the both of us, as well as John McNeil on later episodes. If you have not checked out the latest sample pack, head over to soulsurplus.com. It's literally the first thing that you will see when you're pulling up into the website. Check out all of the latest releases, and also check out all of our latest news, because we've actually been trying to do more news. And also, big thing, head over to YouTube, follow us on YouTube. That's youtube.com/Soul Surplus. We're uploading content on that like almost every other day. But yeah, without, I think we kind of addressed everything, right, John? Anything else you want to add before we get off?
Actually, yes.
Okay.
Something very important.
Okay.
So this first week, that I've been an employee, started working on a new pack. So guys, it's a lot more stripped down. It's also for more of the modern hip hop producer.
Mm-hmm.
But it still has that soul flavor, but it's a little more, I would say, even trap adjacent.
Got you. Yeah, that's one of the things that we've been trying to make sure you guys know that we do soul. We do like a retro soul sound, and we believe that the Port Rich series completely addresses that. We'll never go away from that. We'll never stop bringing you guys like that retro soul sound. It's kind of hard not to when you have analog equipment, to not have that sound, which is one thing I feel like that differentiates us from other brands and companies, is that we're 100% analog, like 90% of the time, and every now and again there's a VST or synth or something like that thrown in there. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to be so old fashioned that we leave out a lot of the young guys that are doing a lot of more of the modern sounds. So that's definitely going to be, or that I should say, that's definitely been one of our focuses, is to make sure that within the soul and hip hop community, we're basically trying to make sure that we take care of everybody. So the fact that you're coming with this new trap adjacent sound with your particular sound, I can't wait for everybody to hear that, because that's going to be crazy.
Yeah, when we get off, I'll send some more stuff when we get off this podcast.
Bet. Well, this concludes the episode 1. We thank you guys for checking in. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, twitter.com @soul, or actually, I guess we could just say follow us on Twitter @Soul Surplus. Follow us on Instagram @Soul Surplus. Follow us on Facebook @Soul Surplus, and follow us on YouTube @Soul Surplus, and visit the site. With that being said, we'll see you guys soon. Take care.
Peace.